the biz.
Good morning, What's the Biz family? Welcome to our Monday Morning Huddle. I'm really excited about our show today. As you know, that we are truly dedicated to our community. We like to empower our listeners and just kind of give you some thought-provoking things to launch your week. Today, I'm really excited about our topic. It's one that's really close to my heart. It's about parenting solo. And today I also have a wonderful guest with me. My beautiful goddaughter, Danica, is not able to be with us this morning. She is out just gallivanting and living her best life. But today I have my other beautiful goddaughter, Akaia Brown.
Hello.
I am so happy that she's here. And the reason why I wanted Akaia to be with us today is because Akaia is also a single parent. So we just kind of wanted to share just some steps and how to support our single parent listeners out there. So thank you, Akaia, for being with us. Tell our listeners a little bit about you.
So my name is Akaia again. I am a mom of 3 girls. I love life. I love loving people. And that's basically, something that I desire is to help people grow in having healthy relationships. So I'm excited to be here today to talk about parenthood because it's a very important part of raising healthy people. It's an important job of parents to raise another generation of healthy people. So,
yeah, for sure. When I think about all the knowledge and just kind of the little bit of research that we did to kind of put this show together, I was a little heartbroken, because society, I should say social media has so much now to offer support when it comes to single parenthood. I was raising 3 kids before the age of 21. I had my first son when I was in high school. I was 16. And it was, of course, challenging. You didn't have the support. You didn't have the resources and the tools that you have now out there through social media. And just to see that shift for single parents, I think it is really a beautiful thing. Yeah. But I just wanted to give our disclaimer real quick. We want to emphasize that we are not experts, but fellow community members on our journey of inspiration and empowerment. The stories and discussions shared is basically our point, our insights, knowledge that we've obtained. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. So let's dive in. So according to 2023 statistics, 15 million children last year were raised in a single mom home. And another 3 million children in 2023 were raised with single fathers. Now, according to the research that we looked at, that has literally gone down from 2012, which was a high peak. And then the single fatherhood men that were raising their children also peaked in 2005. And I'm not sure what the shift was. Maybe that's another show that we can kind of look at as to why. I'd like to think that it's, parents deciding to maybe, stay the course. But, in some relationships, that's not the case, right? So for today's show, we just kind of wanted to, like I said in the beginning, really inspire our single parents that are out there. Single parenting is one of the hardest jobs to do.
Yes.
Even if you're co-parenting, it's challenging, it's difficult. And, I've often even heard, some women in relationships, because they kind of do most of that single parenting type of stuff. It's challenging just for them because, dad's out working and dad's out, it's hard raising kids. Yeah. So with that being said, we just kind of wanted to give you some steps that you can take on in your life just to ensure that your children have a fulfilling and well-rounded life despite the challenges of single parenting. And, one of the steps that I'd like to introduce you to, well, not really introduce you to because I'm sure we've all heard it because, how many times have we heard it takes a village? Right? So step number 1, establish a support system. Cultivate a strong support network of family, friends, and community. Having a reliable support system can provide emotional and practical assistance. And I know when I was raising my children on my own, had it not been for my mother, my church, family members that supported me, God, I probably would have jumped off the ledge numerous of times, right? Yeah. But what support systems, Akaia, and resources have you been particularly that have been helpful for you as a single mom?
Yeah. So for me, that was something that I struggled with for a while because, I came out of relationships with my parents that weren't always healthy. So I didn't feel that I could depend on them all of the time. And, but luckily now those relationships have, had healing, and now I'm able to call on my mom and my dad to help me a bit more with the kids. And I also do extracurricular activities like jujitsu, where I've met some really awesome women, and one in particular, her name is Rosemary. So she's just welcomed me and my children into her home, and she loves us, and her husband support us, and they're there for us. So I think it's really important to find those people that that you can trust, and those people that genuinely love you, and that they'll genuinely just be there for you to support you and help you in your life, like no matter what, and without feeling like you owe them something.
Right.
Because it feels hard sometimes as a single parent to ask people for help, because you feel like that your children aren't their responsibility, and it makes you feel like you owe them something if you ask for their help sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
But I think it's important to be able to find those people that that you can just depend on, and they don't make you feel guilty about it,
right.
know?
It takes some time to establish your tribe too, because like you said, trusting.
Yeah.
I remember, when I was raising my kids, trust was really hard for me. I would allow them to stay with family, but that was it, because of my own trust issues, right? But then after a while, like you said, you cultivate these relationships, and you really get to know intuitively that people truly love your children. And that's beautiful that you're able to find that. So what about co-parenting? How does, let's talk a little bit about co-parenting, because I know even, parenting, like I said, it's a challenge. Solo parenting, a challenge. Sometimes co-parenting is a challenge. You got any nuggets for us on that?
Yeah. So for me, I address co-parenting in a manner that's not ideal for me, but it has to be done in a certain way because of boundaries that have to be enforced. Because, not everyone goes into parenting with certain maturity levels, and people don't go in with the same parenting styles. And fortunately, when you end up as a single parent, there's another parent who parents a completely opposite way than you do.
Yeah.
So I wish that I saw eye to eye with, my ex, but unfortunately we don't. I think it's important that a child has a healthy relationship with both parents, and I think it's important for each parent to encourage the child's relationship with the other parent.
Yeah.
A lot of parents, and working in the mental health field, I see it a lot, that a lot of parents who are separating, they'll use their children as pawns to play against the other parent. And it's very important for co-parents to realize that your children are not your pawns to get back at your ex.
That is a valid, wonderful point.
Yeah, because it's so damaging to the child, and it's unnecessary. You want your child to live a childlike life and be free of all those worries and all those anxieties. They don't want to think, oh, my mommy's a bad person because my daddy says she's a bad person, or my daddy's a cheater or whatever. Like, it's very important to watch your language around your children about the other parent.
That's one thing I have to say, that that it's guardianship. It's guardianship. I have a sister who has been divorced for a long time, and the one thing I always admired about her, there can be 100 people in the room saying hurtful, harmful things about her ex-husband, but never once did my sister say things negative about her ex. And she could have, but she didn't. She kept guardianship, especially when it came to those conversations with her children. I think that's so important, because you begin to do this deconstruction in their brain. You begin to really screw your kids up in a sense, So that's, I'm glad to hear you say that. What's another step we can look at?
I'd say another step is to just try and be as cordial as you possibly can be. You know, if you and your co-parent are in a situation where you guys get along and you guys can go to all their soccer games together and you guys can, you know, talk about doing birthday parties together, co-joint, that would be amazing, because it shows your child that even though the two of you did not work out, you're still able to do things together and excuse me. And you're able to get along with one another, and there doesn't have to be any bad blood there. So that's very important for your children to see you working cohesively with one another. And just being aware that you can't control the other co-parent.
Right.
You can't control what they're doing in their home. You can only control what you're doing in your home.
Right.
I think that was one thing that stressed me out the most when moving on to being a single mom, was that this person raises children way different than me, you know, and then they're coming back home and I'm having to try and pick up all the pieces of the things that I don't like.
It's almost like you have to recalibrate your kid when they come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time in the beginning, we'll try to like talk to the co-parent and say like, hey, like you need to not do this, you need to not do that. But honestly, you can't control other people, and you just have to be at peace with that they're okay, like they're safe.
Yeah.
And all you can do is do the best that you can do on your end to raise your child in the way that you feel is best at your home. You can't control anybody else, and you shouldn't waste your time trying to worry about what anyone else is doing, like outside of your home.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, it's really great to prioritize communication in that type of relationship. And even though I gave up the sense of, you know, I can't control him and make him show up, I wish I wouldn't have given up in a sense. I wish I would have continued and really prioritized our communication. Mm-hmm. So that's actually a step that I want to share with you. You want to maintain open and honest communication, not only with the parent, but also with your children. You want to encourage them to express their thoughts and feelings and actively listen to what they have to say. Had I known that tool, I think my nurturing would have been a little bit better as a single parent. I was just really trying to just survive the day to day. I remember going to school, working a job, you know, and then having to toggle, you know, baseball practice here, football practice here, cheerleading here, and just the strain that it puts on you as a single parent. Mm. But yeah, I think prioritizing that communication and expressing to your children that that need for communication. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me. And, you know, back in the day, we didn't do that. We would scold our children in a sense and say, you know, be quiet or I'll give you something to cry for, or I don't want to hear what you have to say. Go sit down, you know, and I think communication is pivotal.
Yeah, it's very important, because when a child's doing something and you just tell them, oh, you need to stop. And they're like, why?
Yeah.
Because I said. Yeah. But say they're jumping on the couch and you tell them you need to stop. Why? Well, because if you jump on the couch, you might fall, bust your head open, and I'll have to take you to the emergency room.
And I ain't got time for all that.
Yeah. You know, so explaining things to them will have them better grasp the reason of, oh, this is why. She's not just trying to control me. Yes. She's caring about me. Mm-hmm. You know, daddy's caring about me. This is why he's telling me, no, I can't do that. Right. You know, so having that open communication, as you said, is very good, because it builds their understanding of like, oh, well, mom's not just trying to punish me and tell me I can't have any fun. Mm-hmm. It's a way of keeping me safe and loving me, you know. And also being open with your children about your emotions as the parent is very important. It's something that I do all of the time with my children, because I know when I'm going through it and I'm just emotionally drained and they're wanting to play and play and play, and I've had just a rough week, I have to sit with them and I tell them like, look, mommy loves you guys very much, but mommy is feeling very tired and very emotionally drained, and like I have no energy. And they're small. My oldest is 10. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, but they can see it. They can see it in me. And when I say like, can you guys please just settle down a little bit and then we can play tomorrow, go to the park or something, but right now mommy needs some rest. And then they'll give me a hug and they'll say, okay, mommy, like, yeah, we can sit down. Yeah. And they understand it, you know?
Yeah. That's good. Any other steps that you can think of?
Not right at this moment.
Well, one of them is, I mean, you also want to set realistic expectations. So establish realistic goals for yourself and your children. Understand that it's okay not to be perfect and that challenges are a natural part of your life. Kind of like what you just shared. You know, you showed them a vulnerable side of you. You explained to them, but I think that's beautiful. And even though their little minds probably can't comprehend it to the level that it is, I think as you continue to develop that within your kids, it opens up a space for them just to be accepting and loving, and really teaches them grace too. So that's a good thing. What about time management? Tell us a little bit about time management, or if you've got something else you want to say about realistic expectations.
Yeah, I did for the realistic expectations. I have an example, like for a parent setting an achievable goal or realistic expectation. I have a silly metaphor. Is like my kids always ask me for a dog all the time. Yeah, and in my head I'm just
don't
like,
do it.
yeah, I'm just like no, like because I realistically know that I could not handle that. Like on top of all these other animals I'm raising, I couldn't handle another one. You know?
Call your baby animals.
I'm just kidding, but. What I'm saying is if I agreed to get my children a dog, I would not be able to handle the dog. So why would I add more stress to my life when I know I wouldn't be able to handle that? So we have to know our limitations and be realistic with ourselves in acknowledging that sometimes like we aren't going to be able to do everything that we want and give our kids everything that we want all of the time. You know,
raising animals is expensive too.
Yeah. So it's like knowing our having that realistic expectation of, you know, right now I may not be able to give my children everything that I want, and that's okay. You know, and sometimes in this society we feel like we need to keep up with everything else that's going on around us and give our kids the best of this and best of that. And some people just can't do it. You know, so I feel like it's
what a strain that puts on you, though.
Yeah.
Not only as a parent, but also the strain that it puts on you just trying to get by day to day, you know?
Yeah, so it can just cause, like we said, so much more stress, but make you feel as if you're not good enough as their parent, you know?
Oh, that's good. That's good, because those thoughts that we have in our head, man, and the stories we tell ourselves, not only about parenting. I mean, knowing what I know now and looking back on how I raised my kids, I get in my head a lot about guilt.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, if I would have known that, I would have done better. If I would have known that, you know, but I feel like I'm working now on how to let that go and reestablish a different type of relationship with my adult children.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, by the grace of God, I still have that opportunity. I think they still like me. But a couple more steps, and I know we're a little pressed for time, but I want to talk a little bit just about quality time. Despite a busy schedule, make a conscious effort to spend quality time with your children, engage in activities you both enjoy, and create positive memories together. Another one is encourage education. Emphasize the importance of education and support your children in their academic pursuits. Be involved in their school activities and communicate with teachers to stay informed about their progress. And another good thing that I know that you're doing, you're also getting your education in front of your children.
Yeah.
And so that's like a way of saying, hey, education is important. Look at mommy.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What are the challenges of that?
Oh, Lord. That is difficult because I'm working full time, you know, and going to school and not having someone around the house to help me while I'm doing my homework. It's rough because it's like I work all through the week and then I come home and they want to spend that time with me because they don't really get that much time with me throughout the week. And there's some days on the weekend where I'm doing like 20 hours of homework that weekend.
And how old are your babies?
10, 5, and 3.
Oof.
Yeah.
3 and 5, that's demanding.
Yeah. So the 3-year-old is just, I call her a ruckus because she's just into everything, you know? So it's a struggle, but using time management skills. Like some days I have to get up at 4 a.m. so I can get in 2 hours of homework, before they get up, it's hard, but I just want to encourage people that you can do that. You can do it despite the odds that are against you, because I waited so many years. When I had one kid, I dropped out of college, and I was just like, man, I'll never be able to go to school again. That's just what I believed in my head, but then I was just like, I don't want to keep struggling paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. Like, I have to do something. Yeah. And if you have enough belief in yourself and enough drive, you can get it done, you know? So I encourage people to believe in yourself despite the odds. It just takes discipline, to get those things done. But it's difficult feeling like I'm missing out on some of my time with them. Like last night I was at home with them. Friday nights I do dedicate to them. So either we'll watch a movie. We usually get a pizza and we'll watch a movie together. Last night I got home, we made a pizza and we danced for an hour and a half in the kitchen.
I love it.
And it was so much fun. And then after dancing, each of my babies, not the 10-year-old, because she's a big girl, but my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old, I had laid down on the floor and they just laid down on my chest. Each of them took a turn, and then I hugged my 10-year-old. But when I was laying there, I was like, man, when's the last time I've held each of them like individually? Yeah. And I was thinking, how much time do we take in acknowledging that like these are our babies and they're not going to be here one day.
That's
like
that quality time.
Yeah, they're going to be gone, and we have to like really be present in the moment of knowing like I get to love on this child now. So just take time to like hug them and hold them still, even as they get older, because it goes away. I
have a daughter. She doesn't like to be hugged, and I get 2 hugs a year. I get one for my birthday and one for Mother's Day. Not saying there's anything wrong with her because of that, but sometimes I'll just look at her and I'll stretch out my arms. And now when she was little, I would. Maybe that's why she doesn't want to hug me anymore, because I was obsessed with her. You know what I mean? But even now as an adult, I'll just reach out my arms. Come on, give mommy a hug, and she's relentless. She's like, okay, like that. But there's a lot of good steps that we've mentioned so far, but just to share with you a few more. Promote healthy lifestyle, and you really are good at promoting. You get up, you go to jiu-jitsu and you eat healthy. You really take care of yourself. That's a great quality to show your children. And then you also want to like cultural and social exposure. You want to expose your children to a variety of cultural and social experiences. Attend community events, visit museums, and participate in activities that broaden their horizons. One thing I really enjoyed about my family is like they would pull my children in to like go feed the homeless or to do something like that. And to this day, because that was established in my children, especially my daughter, she will go out there and make plates and drive around, her and her daughter, and feed the homeless.
That's awesome,
give them water and things like that. You also want to teach them life skills. Equip your children with essential life skills such as problem solving, decision making, and financial literacy. These skills will empower them to navigate challenges and independently. Anything else you could think of, Akaia?
I think just that fostering the emotional resilience within your children, because you need it for life.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get through life. And there was a quote that I had seen like on Instagram. I follow a lot of parenting channels, and it basically talks about like, if you're seeing a child that is unable to regulate their emotions, it's because you yourself are unable to regulate yours. So I always think of that when I see my child, having a fit. And then when I'm having a fit, and I'm like, they're learning, they're watching me, they're watching everything I do.
Mimicking that.
And it's like, I'll see myself in them. So I know that it's me modeling that behavior, And then there's times when I'll catch myself and I'm just like, and then I have to tell them, guys, I need you guys to settle down for a minute and breathe. And because mommy's about to lose her patience here.
Mommy's about to lose her shit.
Beat you out. I'm just kidding.
Mom is about to lose her shit.
Mom is about to pop off in here. I'm just kidding.
Gosh, but that's so true. You know, at least you're able. Back in the day, I couldn't regulate that. I didn't know how. You know, I really didn't know how. I was a yeller in my house, my poor kids, and I was so hard on my boys, especially, and I would do that yelling, and then I didn't know how. I didn't even know what was happening in my mental stability, let alone my spirit of why I felt that was okay to parent that way.
Yeah.
And then it's so weird, like then I would go visit my kids with their family, and if they raise their voice at their kids, I'm like, oh my God, why are you screaming and yelling at them?
You're like,
don't do that to my babies. And then, my son has literally looked at me, Mom, I got it from you. And I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
But just to have that knowledge of just the self-regulating that you need to do within yourself, it is so good. Again, going back to what social media is teaching society now. It wasn't there for us.
Yeah. And it's something that you have to pay attention to within your body. It's like, it takes a lot of work to regulate your emotions, especially when you come from a home that was never like that.
It was never taught.
You know, we weren't taught that expressing your emotions is a good thing.
Right.
You know, a lot of times we're taught to stuff them down and just bite the bullet and deal with it, But teaching kids how to do this and teaching ourselves how to do this, it's so beneficial for their life in general. It'll help them be more resilient and be able to cope with the daily stresses of life, a job, a family, and things like that in the future, and help them to have more successful relationships, for the rest of their lives.
Right. So. And another vital step, and you guys hear us talk about this on Monday Morning Empower Huddle, seek professional support when it's needed. If facing challenges in your parenting, don't hesitate to seek professional support, such as counseling or therapy for both you and your children. I was directed, my boys were running amok. They were becoming teenagers and they were driving me nuts. I was trying to hold down a job and finish my education. And I remember a friend of mine told me about an organization that helped with anger management and mental health for youth. And I took them. I took them and we went to groups and we had discussions. And to this day, I hear, my kids, they kind of joke about it now, but about, the anger management skills that they learned. So it's really, really important to make sure that you seek guidance and professional help, whether if you're not comfortable with therapy, do group sessions. If you're not comfortable with that, talk to a pastor, someone who can help you and kind of guide you in your solo parenting, because it is a tough deal being a single mom. Kids don't come with, that saying, kids don't come with a book of instructions. You kind of figure out along the way. But thank you, Akaia, so much for joining us today. I appreciate everything that you and tell our listeners, what are you going to school for? And well, let me tell you this. Akaia is a part of our workshop, our makeover. What is it? Mindset makeover workshop. Sorry about that. And she's our co-facilitator there, and she is phenomenal. Our last cohort, she really touched the lives of the women that were involved and shared a lot of insightful things. So we're going to be starting up our workshops, and she will be co-facilitating me. But what kind of degree are you getting right now?
So right now I'm in school for psychology to be a marriage family therapist.
There you go.
That's going to be the degree that I'm working towards. So
awesome. That's awesome. And plus she is a firecracker on that grappling mat. Oh my God. If you get a chance to follow her, and you could see like the one you posted the other day, and you were jiu-jitsuing with, who was that guy?
He's a guy, his name is Gio.
Yeah. And she was handling her business. I was so impressed. I'm like, yeah, that's my baby. But anyway, remember that every family is unique. And the key is to adapt these suggestions to your specific circumstances. The love, guidance, and support you provide as a single parent play a crucial role in shaping your children's life positively. Thank you for joining us today. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. Make sure that you know that every morning when you wake up, you get to choose your happy. God bless. Thanks for listening.